Hey guys!
Hi!
Welcome back to another episode of
Wine and Spirits.
Yay! Today we're gonna actually do a blind tasting. So Megan got 2 bottles of wine. One is a very expensive one and one is a cheap one. And we're gonna be tasting them and seeing which one we think is the expensive one and which one isn't.
Yes, and by very expensive, I'm not going to spend $50 on a bottle of wine, but it's over 20.
Right. Well,
So.
I mean, I was going to ask you, are they both? Oh, I guess
They're both Italian wines.
Okay.
So
Cool. So which one are we going to start with? You said the tape one?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to start with the tape one.
Cheers.
I was waiting for you to say.
Look at the legs on that.
Ooh. That's got, like, the initial taste is really good. The aftertaste is kind of weird to me. It's like a sour, but it tastes good.
I kind of like the after, and it's very smooth.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it was a little tingly.
The aftertaste. But, I mean, it's still good. I like it.
Okay.
And it smells good. Okay, so we're going to try the non-tape one. Ooh, that one smells really good. Smells like cherries.
Ooh,
That's really good.
I like this one better.
I was just going to say that. I like this one better.
It's smoother. It doesn't have that tarty finish to it.
Ooh,
So.
this one's good. I bet you anything
Oh, God.
that the one with the tape, for me, I think the one with the tape is the more expensive one.
I think the one without the tape is the more expensive one.
Yeah, I guess we're going to find out.
This is really, I like the one without the tape.
Me too.
My husband knows, can you show me the bottles? Because I don't even think,
myself.
I don't think he even knows which one's the expensive one. Okay, so we have this one.
Let me see.
And this one.
So
which one was the tape?
Reserva.
The tape was the 2020 one.
This one's
The least
2017. The
less
tape.
expensive.
Oh! So,
Oh!
the more expensive one is the better tasting.
Okay, so the one without the tape was the least expensive one, and the one with the tape was the reverse.
Reverse that.
I'm dyslexic. Dyslexic.
So
yes.
I'm really good at this game.
Yeah, so the one that was most expensive was the one without the tape, and the one that was least expensive was the one with the tape.
So this is the least expensive, and it's still really good. And for this wine, you can get it's for $6.99.
And this one was the most expensive. And the funny thing about it is how much was that one?
This was 21.
Oh, okay.
22.
That's not bad. But yeah, it's funny because before when we did that blind tasting, the one that was like the most expensive tasted awful.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And this time it's the opposite.
But I think that one was from that winery.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
That's right.
And Minnesota wines are not my favorite.
What are these? Are these like Malbecs,
I don't
Cabernet?
really know. It does not say.
Whatever it is, it's good.
I was really hoping the cheap one would be my favorite. And I'm really disappointed.
Now you got to spend that money.
No, it'll be like a celebration wine. And our dog, if you can hear that, he's a mountain dog, so it's snowing at the moment, and he wants to just live outside right now.
Oh, he's like, come on, let me out.
But then he'll jump again on the window.
To come back in.
To come back in. Well, no, not to come back in. Just to get me to open the door so our other dog goes out there, so he plays. But they don't want to go out because it's cold. So he's annoying.
But you'll hear him.
Yeah, winter time is his favorite time.
So I think we can probably talk about the cheeses a little bit.
So this guy, I'm a little nervous about him. Not gonna lie. It is a softened, ripened goat cheese, but it also says creamy brie.
Boo!
So I don't really know.
Brie.
I don't really know
How
what
it's
that
gonna be.
means.
Oh.
And I'm a little scared because the last time we had brie, it was
stinky and
it was a little weird.
Oh, I don't even know. Are we supposed to eat? Is this gonna be like one of the like not eat the outside type?
I mean, let's go with that. Oh God, here.
Put it on the cracker.
Oh God.
I'm already cringing because the last one with the mushroom in it.
Okay, I'm gonna wait for you.
It was.
Finn's
I'm doing a little one this time. Last time I did too much and it was like.
So you gave yourself a little one, and you gave me a huge piece of
Cheers!
rude.
Oh God, awful. I'm not a brie person. Hold on while I choke this down.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. It tastes
I need
like
water.
how sweaty gym socks or something mildewy.
Okay, it's
It's so bad.
in the back of my throat now. That is, oh,
Oh my God, it's so bad.
that's not great.
Oh, that's awful. Why do people like
I'm
brie?
sorry. I'm trying to condition us. The more we eat it, the better chance we have to like gain a liking to it, right?
Maybe if it has something sweet in it, like blueberries or raspberries or something to
Next time
overpower it.
I'll put that on top for you. The next brie I get.
I don't know. That just tastes. It tastes worse than the cave aged whatever the outside.
No, it does not.
Yeah, the outside ring, whatever the rind.
I guess I didn't have it.
Oh, you didn't try the rind? Bill can back me up on that.
I know. My husband was like, it tastes like a dirty, musty cave. Yeah, yep.
Oh, yuck.
All right.
So, moving on. This is actually where our episodes are going to be kind of holiday themed a little
I
bit.
wasn't aware of this, so I am not
You
in
can see
holiday
this.
theme.
You can see my inappropriate sweater that I made. Just thought I'd put that on there. But now we're gonna move into our special guest. Yay!
I'm super excited about this story, actually.
We have with us Jonny P. What's up?
Hi, John.
Hey, ladies. How you doing?
How are you doing? We're
Yeah,
doing good
doing
after
well.
we get back to
Yeah.
Are you a brie fan?
Am I what again?
A brie fan? Do you like brie cheese?
Oh, yeah, I was laughing while you were trying it. I don't mind brie cheese. We get it for parties in our house.
Oh, I'm
Oh.
going to have to gift you some of this.
It can be my appearance award for the episode tonight.
Yes.
Here's our leftover cheese. Yeah, no,
Not that
I think it's pretty good comedy though, just seeing you two try gross wines and gross cheese. I mean, it's still funny and entertaining. So
Well,
keep
this
at
one
it.
is-
Yeah.
So you said you have a story for us. We're excited to hear your personal story.
Yeah. So I'll jump into it here. So this is about 10 years ago. I used to live in Texas. I'm from Minnesota originally, but I moved around the country for a while for school and my job and all that. So anyway, that'll become important later. But I had just moved back to Minnesota. This was October 2012. And almost within a couple weeks of moving back, a friend of mine introduced me to an open house night that a local paranormal investigators group was hosting. So Myra, this was SIM, so Supernatural Investigators of Minnesota.
Oh, really?
So yeah, there's a tie-in for you. So I forgot everybody's names. I mean, I'm sure I got all the introductions that night, but this was, again, it was 10 years ago, so whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was a membership drive or if it was just like trying to raise awareness so people could sponsor them or whatever. But they hosted an event at this place in Faribault. It's the abandoned kind of ruins of the state hospital. So it's Faribault State Hospital, which, just a little bit of background for the channel here. Like there's like legit scary and like bad stuff that happened there. So it used to be like a work farm and like basically like a camp of some kind for people with disabilities. So it was like the hospital for like epilepsy and like other disorders where folks would, you know, live on site and all that. And this was like the 50s and before, where they did not treat people well and, you know, all that stuff. So there's like legitimate, like bad kind of mojo at this place. So anyway, fast forward, you know, they did the meetup and they invited everybody out to this site. And then we did a caravan out to the grounds. And this actually isn't the main part of the story, but it's just worth sharing. Like that area is legitimately like terrifying. Like you go out there, I mean, you just imagine like abandoned houses and, you know, like this complex of buildings with, you know, no light or, you know, any kind of like civilization around, like a bunch of overgrown grass, right? So the night was ghost hunting. So that we all like split up into groups and we were, you know, doing the whole 9 yards with the equipment, EKGs or, you know, whatever it is to pick up the sound. And they actually loaned me a video camera that had night vision, right? And like it had one of those pop out panels that you could hold and you could like see through the window. And like even that in itself was really scary because like you would see stuff and it's like, oh, what was that? And like you would naturally look up and you were just blinded, right, from like seeing the light of the camera. So like you couldn't see anything beyond the camera. So just that, like, I don't know, I just recommend anybody who's doing that stuff, like you have to really commit to one or the other. Like you can't try switching back and forth. And a couple times, like I like tried to like scare myself a little bit. And like I wandered off from the group. So like I would be by myself, like not out of earshot, but, you know, like maybe like 50 feet or like 100 feet away from the next person, like in a different part of the house. And that was like, again, like honestly, like terrifying, right? Like just like you see, it's kind of like that closing scene from the Blair Witch Project, you know, like there's a bunch of, you know, like graffiti on the walls, but like everything is just destroyed, you know, like a derelict building. And then also we're saying a different part of the grounds was like this bunker that you would go into that was underground. And that was just this single room with a bunch of spray paint. And there is actually pictures of this online. And it reminds me of that meme where like the clown is standing outside the door, you know, and there's like a spray paint thing that says like free hugs on it. Like legitimately it could be from that site. Like it looks just like it. So again, you know, going out there, of course, like we started at like midnight, you know, so it was just middle of the night and everybody's like super like, you know, into it. And, you know, they're waiting to see a ghost around the corner kind of a thing. So people are jumping and like, what the F is that? It's like pointing at, you know, like a squirrel in the trees kind of thing. So there were some lighthearted moments, you know, I kind of chuckled. But anyway, so again, that's not the point of the story because nothing happened to me. Like I would just scare myself, if anything. So fast forward to the end of the night, and we did end up calling it early. Like the main guy, is it Jerry, Myra? Like who's like the main guy? Yeah, so I did remember his name. So Jerry had like a really negative experience where he said like he felt this pressure on his chest and like he didn't feel healthy like in this one house that we were in. which is the house that I wandered off and I got really scared in, by the way. So that house could have some bad energy, but whatever. So we ended up calling the night, like whatever, like 1 or 1:30. We weren't out there that long. But at the end of the night, so like we're kind of milling around, like people are starting to go to their cars and like, that's it, you know, thanks for coming out. This one guy comes up to me and he was not in my group. I think we split up into groups of 3. So it was like 6 or 8 people per group. And this one guy comes up to me and says like, hey man, I know you don't know who I am, but I just got to tell you, like, just seeing you here and like what I sense about you, like something is really wrong. And I feel there's like a negative energy around you that I can't really explain any further than that, but I think you should get it checked out.
Oh, that's
So
creepy.
obviously, like kind of my skeptical side, like this guy knows that I'm like one of the, you know, tourists, right? Like I don't belong in the group because I think he was a member of SIM, right? So he could have just been messing with me or whatever, but I was just like, yeah, okay, you know, thanks, man. Like whatever, like what do you say to that anyway?
And that's a little weird to have that being said when you're out there being scared.
Yeah,
Right.
at like 2 a.m, you know, like after everyone's spooked, you know. But he seemed serious. Like there was no reveal, you know, like it wasn't like, haha, gotcha. It was just like, okay, well, you know, have a good night. And then like, that was it, you know, like, why would you even do that? To me? You know, like there was no like camera or anything, you know, at that point. So anyways, that was weird. So then I called Jerry actually, and I had a follow-up phone call, like whatever the next day. And I was like, hey man, like one of your members like said this weird thing to me. And he was like, oh yeah, that's Todd. He thinks that he has this gift, but you know, we all kind of shrug it off, you know, like it doesn't really mean anything to us. I mean, if you want to look into it, I could help you out with like a spiritual healer or something, or we could even do like a ritual. So apparently Jerry's into that, by the way, Myra, like he would practice something, you know, to like do a cleanse. But he's like, you know what, it's up to you. Like either way. Oh yeah. Can you hear me?
Can you hear us? You got, so we left off where you said you did a follow-up call with Jerry.
Here, I can, let me switch audio here. Is this better?
Yeah, it just kind of froze. And then you had just started to say you had a follow-up call with Jerry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So I called Jerry and he was like really whatever, understanding and kind about it. He said, you know, that's just Todd, you know, like he thinks that he has a spiritual gift, but not, you know, like none of us take him seriously about it. You know, that's just like him, you know, doing his thing, like pretending that he's, you know, bigger than he really is, you know, kind of deal. So Jerry still offered, you know, if you want to do something about it, like we could do like a cleansing or some kind of like spiritual activity, you know, to try to get this energy off of you. But, you know, it's up to you, you know, only do it if you think it's appropriate, you know, kind of thing. So he was kind of middle of the road about it. But then I actually started thinking and like kind of mysteriously, like that comment really kind of rang true with me. Because even though I had moved back to Minnesota, right? So back to the start of the story, like I still, like I felt kind of off. I've been wanting to move back to Minnesota for at least the past like 3 years. And like, I did feel like kind of flat, like I wasn't really excited. And like, I had broken up with my girlfriend a few months before, but like I was over that relationship, you know, like, so that's, I guess, significant, but like it still didn't add up. Like I should have been more jazzed. So I was thinking, and you know, you got to watch out for self-fulfilling prophecies. But like I was thinking, like maybe this guy is onto something. So I told my sister, who actually was like really understanding, and she said, "Well, John, if you're worried about this, I actually go to a spiritual healer sometimes, who's like one part healer, one part psychic." But like she has this gift and she's helped me like kind of get centered, I think is how she would describe it. So I can give you her number. Like she has a website even, but this is like her legit business. And, you know, she does this kind of spiritual reading and cleansing stuff. So I decided to do it. So kind of part 2 of this story as I reached out to this woman, she lives in Minnetonka. Her name is Star, like star, just like with the word, but it's 2 R's at the end of it. So I think you can actually search her online if she's still doing the business. And she's just this woman that does like spiritual healings and readings outside of her home. So you set up an appointment and you just go to her house and you meet her there. And I decided to do it. Like I told her the background of the story, and of course she knew my sister already. So I guess, you know, that was my in with her. And just like a random Tuesday, you know, middle of November. So again, about 10 years ago, I went over to this woman's house, and it was totally normal, right? Like pulling up, you know, she's just this like middle-aged, you know, white lady that, you know, dresses normal. And she invited me into her basement, and like, she had a single like fountain in the corner. So there was, you know, running water, but other than that, like could have been anybody's basement, you know, like I didn't even notice a bunch of like religious stuff on the walls. And she told the story that she is a Christian and that she believes her energy and her gift is like a gift from God, you know, so she channels, I guess, God's will, you know, when she does her readings and all that. And like right away when I sat down, she was like, well, John, I can tell you what it is because I can see the spirit in the room with us right now. You do have basically a ghost. You have a spirit attached to you. And I can see that she's a young woman. She looks like she's maybe, you know, 20 years old. And like just instantly, like she went into this whole reading. So I'm just gonna, I guess, tell the reading now. She said that it looks like she is a ghost who died very suddenly. I'm sensing that she was killed in a car accident and died nearby you, like where you were one night. And
I just got
the reading.
Wow.
What's that?
I just got the chills.
Oh yeah.
Said that.
And she said, and I told her, for the record, I told her about my ex-girlfriend already, like in email, like I was describing like why I was feeling like I was in a funk lately. And so she jumped onto that, right? So it wasn't like she totally was making stuff up on the spot, but she said, I sense that the woman died nearby you when you were out with your ex one night and you guys were fighting. And she sensed the negative energy that you two were giving off. And that was comforting, you know, kind of like that misery loves company thing. And because she died so suddenly, like she just was angry. So she latched onto you because it was like a comforting thing. And like, I had no idea that this was on the menu, right? Like we were going to do like this full kind of like lucid, you know, situational thing. And I was like, so is it like the sixth sense? Like people like don't know that they're dead, you know, kind of thing. And she was like, oh yeah, like a lot of people are ghosts still because like they don't know what else to do, you know, and usually it is people that die tragically or suddenly or whatever. So this person basically is choosing not to go to the afterlife. Like she's right now like clinging to you and just like following you around because it's like her only sense of like navigation. Like the rest of the world is like fuzzy, you know, like it doesn't make sense. And she's sucking energy from you. Like her presence is like taking from you. So that's probably a big reason why you don't feel like yourself. And I said, okay, well, this is all terrible. I mean, like, what do we do about it? And she's like, oh yeah, like this isn't a problem. Like I can communicate with her and tell her to leave you alone. And I was like, oh, okay, so you want to do that now? And she's like, yeah, you can do that. Well, let's do this now. So then like she closes her eyes and just like folds her hands on her lap and says, okay, so I'm gonna like say a prayer here, and I'm going to talk to her now. And there was like one direct moment of comedy in the room because then I said, is there anything that I should do or do I just sit here? And she's like, no, you can't do anything, just sit there. So like I was just reading, you know, it's like looking at the watch, like, you know, how long, you know, does the spiritual cleansing take?
Right.
So anyway, she closed her eyes, and I'll imitate her now. She's like, okay, so I'm talking to her and she doesn't want to go, but I'm telling her she has to go and this isn't her world anymore. So I'm showing her the door and she understands now she has to leave and she's leaving. And I'll tell you, like, when she did that, so now we get into placebo effect and all that, right? But I kid you not, like, I felt this like intense rush, like this, you know, like spiritual uplifting moment that like legitimately, like it was like fresh breath of air, you know, like a surge of energy kind of thing. But like I felt significantly better from like those like 5 seconds of the person leaving the, you know, my spirit world, whatever. So that was really intense. And that actually, that moment is what makes me think it was real, you know, like everything else, coincidence, whatever, but like that, like very like tangible, like visceral, like connection, you know, is like what makes me think it's a true story. Like, because again, even placebo effect, like it's just tough to get that kind of feeling, you know, it's like one part adrenaline, one part whatever. So, so anyway, I felt awesome. And so just out of curiosity, I said like, well, what happened? Like, did you send her to heaven? Like we had not talked about the afterlife whatsoever, you know, like we just jumped into like my situation. And she was, and obviously she said she's Christian, right? So she was like, well, I can't like escort her to heaven because like that doorway isn't in this immediate area. Like apparently like it's very localized, you know, like she can't do like an out of body experience and like take people on a tour around the world or whatever. She's like, all I can tell you is that I basically told her to move on and she's not going to come back now because like she knows like you are not like her host, you know, like this is not appropriate. And I was like, so like, is she just going to find another person? Like, I mean, how do you know like what happens? And she's like, I don't know. She's like, she could just find somebody else down the street, you know, but that's really beyond my abilities, you know, to tell people to go to heaven or whatever, you know, is the afterlife. So, so that's really the end of that part 2. Then part 3, we actually did a spiritual reading, which got pretty wild. So, beyond like the ghost and all that, like she just did a reading on me, and just some of the stories that she said, like with confidence and all that, was just kind of cool. And like just her outlook on the world and like the spiritual plane. So first, she did a reading and she said, well, John, you know, good news. You are living the exact life that you planned to lead when you were in heaven and you chose to come down to earth and live this life. And she went on to say that this is kind of how the world works. Like everybody, or most people, she said, I got to watch that. She said a lot of people are angels in heaven that choose to come down to earth. And like you have a preview of what kind of life you're going to end up having. And it's kind of like a Hindu, like karma kind of concept where like sometimes people choose certain lives, like even be in poverty or live with a disability or, you know, some kind of challenge because you want to learn something.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I think that's really cool.
And it's like, if if your soul is infinite, right? If you have all these options, because she made it sound like you can travel in time too. Like you can pick like what stage of reality you want to jump into. So like basically people are trying out different lives, to see what happens. And yeah, it sucks to like grow old and die and all that, but then you just go up to heaven and you decide if you want to come back down, right? You just keep this cycle going. But she said like sometimes people choose like their exact spiritual form on earth so that they can like see what earth is like, with physical appetites and all that. And she said, that's what I'm doing. Like she said, like, I'm very aligned, like spiritually with my physical representation. And for whatever reason, like this is like a victory lap or something. Like I'm just enjoying my, my physical form. And she said, like she can tell, like I have a loud voice and I have, like I love crowds and, doing, like fun parties and all that. And she said, like she gets that exact reading from me in heaven. Like before I came down, like she had this vision of me sitting basically at like a drinking table, like one of those long banquet hall tables. like just like surrounded by other angels as friends, and like I'm telling stories or making everybody laugh, with like this whatever tale, maybe living a previous life, I guess, I don't know. So she said that's obviously good and something I should take credit in. And then out of nowhere, she said that I knew my mother and sister in heaven, and like we all chose to come down and live like as a family. Like even though that concept doesn't really exist in heaven, like we just decided, like maybe we're friends, and then we decided to be family here on Earth. And so that's like why we're so close, or like I should have some kind of connection with my mom and sister. And then I guess another part of comedy from the story, I asked her like, well, so what about my dad and my brother? And she's like, oh yeah, you didn't know them in heaven, so I'm guessing that you're not as close to them now either. and like, I guess that's true. I'm sorry, if my dad or brother watched this, but it is just a different connection, and I guess guys bond different than, guys bond with women too. So that could be another part of it. But overall true, like as far as like relatability and like, ability to have a conversation, it's definitely true that I can talk more to my mom and sister than my dad and brother. And I guess you could say I have more in common with them too. So that was wild. And then she talked about like, I have a guardian angel. So like she believes in that stuff. And she's like, yeah, your guardian angel is in the room right now. And like, he's nodding approvingly. Like he's happy that you're here right now too, like having this moment. And she's like, what name is coming to you at this time? Because I think that's your angel trying to talk to you. And I said, well, I mean, I guess I'm thinking of the name Tom, but I mean, that's my brother's name. So, I mean, isn't that just a coincidence? And she's like, no, I think your angel's name is Tom. And that's like meant to be a connection with you, that your brother here on Earth is Tom. And then separately, like a different person, like your angel's name is Tom. It's like looking out for you. And then she talked about my spiritual gifts and like what I have otherwise beyond like the comedy and like good friends thing. And she said one of them, like, I see you holding like a spiritual knife, like an ethereal knife. And it's not for violence or like aggression or even really self-defense, but it's meant for your ability to cut ties with other people once you realize that the relationship is toxic. She said like more so than the average person, like once you decide to get, to sever ties with someone, which is like a whole other like discernment kind of gift. But she said like you're better than the average person. Like you have this skill of like cutting off, because like she described like all of the relationships that you have on Earth. Think of like a series of like tubes and like cords, and in every relationship you're either giving energy or taking energy from others. So like the ghost thing, which I couldn't get rid of on my own, but she said just in general, you're able to sever those ties and like you're able to move on. Like you don't really think about people like as much as others might dwell on previous friendships or relationships. And like that will serve you for the rest of your life. So just know that, that's a skill you can flex into with, whatever troubles you have. Know that, somebody else would be having a much harder time, like forgetting about the previous relationships.
Is that something that true? Like, how is that true in your life?
Well, I mean, but like, how do I know that? Like, of course, like, I like feeling sad about a previous relationship or like a friend I don't talk to anymore. Like, yeah, that happens. But I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, if I had to admit, like the friends that I've had to say goodbye to, like it's kind of a choice that I don't, worry about it anymore. So that could be, real. So, I mean, I guess, I just don't know, right? It's like fish don't know their own water that they swim in. So that doesn't really mean that it's a gift, I guess. But she was convinced it was. But actually, let me come back to that because there's an epilogue to this story too. So anyway, so she said that. And then my other gift, she said, I have a real warrior spirit, which again, it's not meant to be like violence or like dominating your enemies or any of that. But she just meant like, I appreciate like an honest day's work, like with sweat on my brow, like more than the average person. So she's like, well, tell me, do you work in construction or you do like anything with your hands? And I was like, no, I just have a desk job. I work a computer. And she was like kind of disappointed. And she was like, oh, okay, well, how about like working out at the gym? Like, how often do you work out? And I was like, yeah, like 2 or 3 times a week, probably. Like, I'm actually pretty good about that, which is true. I'm not exaggerating. And she said, oh, okay, good. So you're gonna want to do that every week for the rest of your life. And like any time that you're not working out or like breaking a sweat like multiple times a week, you're gonna start slipping into a funk, and you won't feel like yourself. Which is definitely true. So like, again, maybe she, like, again, if you want to consider like she's a con artist and like she's just doing like a reading, like Jonathan Edwards or something. There's no way that she would have known that about me. Like, maybe like I'm, extroverted, like bubbly personality guy. But just that was another one where I like had a real like moment of realization, because I've kind of thought that about myself already, like before. Like, I played sports in school, and like I'm already motivated to just work out. Randomly, I don't even know if you two know this, but I ran 2 marathons this year. So like I'm really into running now.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's like the response, right? It's like, shock and amazement. Like, why would you do that? But like that is like the kind of the drive that I have still, and I love going to the gym. Like, I'll wake up early or I'll go super late at night, and so that really, 10 years later, that's still true. So that's another thing that I really remember. So anyway, so that was good. And then I think that's about it. So, ended up, of course, parting on good terms. Like, I felt good, and it was really interesting, of course, because she gave me all this detail, and I did feel good from the cleansing thing. So then fast forward 10 years later, so this is the epilogue. My sister actually has really been turned on to this whole, lifestyle of like spiritual healing and like doing readings and all that. And she feels that she has some kind of gift now as well. And she even went on this trip to Peru and then another trip to Ireland about like honing your skills and like becoming more like a part of like the spiritual realm kind of thing. So she believes that she has a gift. And I never even told her this much of the story before, but I was just visiting her about like a month ago. This is, like late October. And so I was telling her this story because I knew that I was going to come on your show. And she was like, oh, your spiritual gift is what? And I told her about the knife thing. And she was like, oh, I've always known that about you. Like maybe we've never talked about it, but like you're like, I consider it more like you're very good at like putting up walls that protect you from like other people's judgment. And like you're very comfortable in your own skin, like from like pressures from society or, people making comments about you or whatever else. Again, like way more than the average person. So like once you decide that, a relationship isn't healthy or someone's not being genuine, like, yeah, you're going to protect yourself like really easily. And that is basically your gift, that you'll be able to lean into that for the rest of your life too. So again, I mean, she said that after I said the part about the knife, so she could have just been, agreeing with the reading from 10 years ago. But again, like for the headspace that my sister is in, like, she wouldn't have said that if she didn't already believe it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it was like a very authentic comment from her that she's like, yeah, that is who you are. And yeah, I see like you are very well aligned, like how you're living your life. Like that does line up with like your spiritual energy, so like you do have like that piece, of connection as well. So, yeah, so then that's it. So yeah, since then, I guess I just continue to work out and be an extrovert and host fun parties and all that, and yeah, live out my life. I guess that's about as much follow up as I can give.
That is really cool.
That's awesome.
Okay, one thing that stuck out, and I have a question about it, and I don't know if you'll have an answer to it, but so when you were doing the reading with the lady, and she said that spirit was attached to you, where was your guardian angel in that? How does that work? Like, that is confusing to me.
I think I think that, I mean, it's probably some sense of like they're limited in how much they can interfere. Or, I mean, you could even say maybe the angel was helping her not do worse damage than she already was, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like she never commented on it. She just said that he was nearby and happy, I guess.
So my opinion on that, and this is just from an outside observer, is I feel like maybe your guardian angel or spirit guide, whatever you want to call it, maybe that's what kind of guided you in the process of going to her. So that's how I kind of observe it is, and that's
or
why
even going to the,
because he decided to listen and go to her. That's true. So that's the
or
only.
even going to
that's
the
how
ghost hunting event, right? I mean, having that random guy. I mean, he could have told the guy to come up and talk to me, right? Because that was
it's like a chain effect. Like, okay, he's not listening to me with this. Let me try this. Okay, he's not listening to me with this. Let me try this. And then eventually it led you to getting rid of that spirit. And so that's why he was smiling, because he finally
he's like
released. He's like, finally, because maybe like you said, he can't directly influence it.
Gotcha.
Like he can't directly do anything himself, but he can influence decisions and choices that you make to lead you to the path.
That's really cool.
That's what I was thinking. That's
and it was kind of random that I went on that ghost hunting thing, by the way, because my buddy ended up backing out. So like it was like this thing we were going to do together, and I did just feel, of course, I mean, it sounds cool, so whatever, but you know, Fairbolt's not just down the street, you know, it was like a hour drive, and I didn't know anybody there. Like I just didn't know if it was worth it, but yeah, I was really hyped, and I wanted to go. So
yeah, I was like, I don't know if I ever knew that you did that kind of stuff.
I didn't know. That's
it was just a
cool.
one-off thing. And you know what's funny? Ever since I did it, like even though it was a fun experience and like I would recommend it, like my interest in doing it again just like plummeted. Like I've never like followed up. Like I had no interest in joining Sim, you know, any of that. It was just like that was like the one night.
Yeah, almost. It did.
And the fact that you went there and you didn't know anybody. And
or maybe,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
That might be cool.
Yeah. No, I thought it was weird because then like the whole time, you know, it's like going to like a haunted house or something by yourself, you know, like it's just like that much more intense, but like you don't have anyone to joke around with. Like I was just walking around by myself in that group. So yeah, it wasn't even like really fun in that sense because I didn't have anybody to like kid around with, you know? So yeah, it was kind of a weird decision, honestly.
Yeah,
that was really interesting.
Probably guided that way. Mm-hmm.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
cool.
I did not know this about you, and I like it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Oh my gosh,
I can't think of it.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you want to come on the show again,
like
let us know.
Have you had any other experiences since then?
No, not. Yeah, I was thinking of that if there was any other run-in. I mean, I can't think of anything. I mean, I'm trying to remember, like, you know, if the woman comes back or like if I have some kind of like trauma or something. But in general, like I lead a pretty, so back to the reading, like I lead a pretty happy life. You know, like I'd argue like I'm one of the more optimistic people that you two know, you know, like I just have kind of a jolly way about me, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I was trying to think if there's any other follow-up. I mean, I can tell you about, I mean, I could have my sister on actually, like she could probably tell some stories, but no, I can't. Yeah, no, because she got into this whole thing about like Peru is like a really strong masculine energy, like as a country, and like Ireland is a really strong feminine energy as a country. Mm-hmm. Like again, she's like really like if you want to hear more about like that spiritual healing, like kind of subculture, and like they believe like when you see people, like you see an aura around them. So to be fair, like everyone in my family has seen this star healer lady, and like she's given us all very different readings, and like she gives advice about profession and like, you know, relationships and, you know, whatever you want to talk about. And one of the things is like you look at people with like your third eye, you know, kind of concept, and you like sense an energy about them, and like if they're out of alignment or like what part of their life is holding them back. There's this whole culture, which I do think there's a lot of con artists, by the way, but again, like I can't argue with some of the things that resonated with me when I saw that lady 10 years ago. But my sister's like full boat into it, and of course, pleasant lady, and all that stuff that I'd recommend her. So yeah, we can talk about that offline. But that is another topic.
Your whole family did readings with the same woman?
Yeah, because each person had a real moment. I mean, like nobody else was like they had ghosts or anything attached to them. But each person was like seeking guidance about, like we all have open topics in our lives. Like, what should I do about this relationship? Or what should I do about this career change? Or, whatever. It's like calling a tarot card reading, 1-900 number kind of thing. It just has a different feel to it. It's not like burning incense and like she's wearing, a beaded, scarf or shawl or whatever. Like, she's just like a normal lady that has a really calming presence. And I mean, you pay for, I guess, how you feel afterwards or whatever clarity that you get. But yeah, I don't think my dad did it, but my mom and then my sister and brother and then me. So 4 out of 5 people did it.
Could you send us her information
if you have it still?
Yeah, I'll
I'd be interested.
Yes, I think it's something. I think it's like $100 or maybe like 125, like somewhere in there. But I mean, as far as I know, she's still doing. I mean, I haven't looked her up in 10 years, for the record. So don't get your hopes up yet. But yeah, I can dig through my email and I could find out her contact info.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I'd love that.
Yay!
Yeah, I'd recommend it.
Yeah, we should probably try that.
Yeah, and we could go together.
Mm-hmm. Her name sounds familiar though, so I feel like she's still around.
It does not sound familiar to me.
I don't know where I heard it.
She has a last name.
Yeah,
and Jerry might have talked about her.
Or she might have been at a convention that I went to, a paranormal convention.
Oh,
so I mean, she sounds very familiar, but yeah, we'll talk about it more offline.
Awesome. Yeah. Perfect.
Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to talk more about it.
Have a good night, and I hope your little one feels better.
Yeah, same. I'm sad you couldn't be the brie cheese.
That's all right. That's all right. Another time.
I know. I bought enough meat and cheese for you and your wife too.
Dang it.
I have so much stuff
and so much fun.
Yeah, an incredible amount. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
We'll talk to you later, Johnny.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
That was very, very cool.
Oh my God, guys.
And to have an attachment that long and not realize it. But then again, you have to wonder, when you do have an attachment, like when you're feeling certain things or when you get in a funk or when you're down, if you've got something attached to you. I mean,
I wonder if there's a way that we could make an appointment with her, just like us two.
Yeah.
Maybe film it.
To see maybe if we have an attachment, because
shit that's happening at our homes
currently still, and like just all the stuff like from house to house
well,
that I've gone to.
Obviously know there are things.
Yeah.
But like it would be nice to hear.
And I'd be interested to see if anything. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about with Gio too, because he's been saying weird stuff lately, and stuff has been happening around him. So.
Well, once he sends that information, we can reach out and figure something out, because that would be really cool.
Yes. Well, guys, let us know what you think in the comments. Any questions, we can follow up with John, or John actually can answer it in the comments too if you have any questions for him or for us. I think that about does it for us. We're gonna wrap it up. You got more wine?
I got more because I'm drinking.
So we're gonna wrap it up, and thanks guys for watching. We'll see you on the other side.